UCOL member sat down and decided that it's time to make impact in the lives of other people. And that UCOL member is the one standing in front of you now.
Whoa.
And I started the organization to reach out, provide a platform for young people to come get mentored while they volunteer, and of course they go back to the society making positive impact. And I would say I'm very happy that we've been able to touch so many lives in the organization. And so in 2013, we started our agri journey through Oxfam Nigeria, because they reached out to us to be part of what they are doing in their Grow campaign. So Oxfam Nigeria reached out to us to be part of their Grow campaign. I'm happy to see the Obonge women here, the women farmers under the Oxfam program. And so we decided they brought us in to be the youth hub organization. Within what we did, some of them you see, we have some campaign messages, go for the goals, end hunger, and the rest. Most young people said, since this is a youth organization, why not start a project that is youth-led, youth-focused, and everything is about young people. So April 2nd, 2014, Y-Farm project was giving birth to the youth farm project. We started the project for the youth, but you agree with me, there are women now. The very first set of people to benefit from the Y-Farm project were the women. 20 of them were taken to Kenya, Nairobi, and trained by the African Union Commission and Kenyatta University with the UN on agribusiness. And then from there, some of us, about 4 of us, and then by the way, the project represented Nigeria. So out of it, 4 of us got scholarship from the Israeli government, and we went for a mashab. So from what we've learned from the process and other trainings we've been to, we decided to implement it within the Y-Farm project. So Y-Farm celebrates what young people and women are doing. We organize annual festivals. This year's own will be the 4th edition for Nigeria, the National Youth and Women Agri Festival. Who has participated before in the festival? Yes. So this year's own will be on 26th with the colloquium, and then 27th with the festival. It's 72 days. The women and the young people are given free spaces to exhibit and sell their products. But we felt that was not enough, that we should have a monthly outreach, a hangout where we bring the women and youth farmers that can come, and then to interface with our stakeholders so that we learn. So I'm happy that to celebrate our 5th anniversary, last month, April 5th to be precise, we did the Y-Farm monthly hangout for the youth and women in agribusiness. Last one focused on innovative financing, and we had close to 30 stakeholders that came. We had a very heavy delegation from the Ministry of Agriculture, Edo, you bear witness, Tila, you and Madam. Then we had NISAL to talk about the various finance opportunities. And so this month we decided to focus on nutrition-sensitive agriculture, because we found out that most of us as farmers, we only produce for others, we don't eat what we produce. And even when we want to eat what we produce, we eat the rotten ones, and then take the better ones to the farm and to the market. And even among that, what is the hygiene situation with us? So last year, we became involved in the value chain development program of IFAD and the federal government of Nigeria, and we started the journey with them, training their farmers in Anambra and in Oyo State on nutrition-sensitive agriculture. And because of the gaps we saw with the farmers, we decided during the festival last year to formally launch this 3rd phase of the Y-Farm project to focus on youth and women as champions for nutrition-sensitive agriculture. So within it, we'll be training farmers on child nutrition, on maternal nutrition, on family nutrition, and how families can plan their meals in such a way that it will be beneficial. And then also talk about the entries, the pathways into sustainable nutrition-sensitive agriculture. So these are the processes that we're happy that last year during the launch, FAO was there, and then we reached out to USAID and then Zero Hunger. And Zero Hunger has been part of the process. They were there with us 2 years ago during the festival. And then this year they decided to really come and we'll be hearing about what they do. And then also for you to have opportunities to interface with them. So USAID, when we had a meeting with USAID and we said we need you to come and talk to our farmers, Mr. Mark Visocky volunteered himself to be here with the farmers. So please give him the welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here because really the youth are what we really like to target, both because they're starting out in business and we can get them into good habits of farming and things like that, but also, how many of you have children? Okay, how many are planning to have children? Okay. So that's probably everybody in this room. And really at this age, at your age, between that 15 to 29-year-old is when you're having children. And you're the first caretakers of those. And then what has happened to your generation cannot be reversed. So we have better chances of stopping stunting and gross malnutrition like wasting if we get them at a very, very young age. We've done studies and found that already by 2 years old, if a child is 2 years old and has not gotten the proper nutrition, he's not only stunted in height, but stunted here as well. And in studies they've done in other countries, they have found that stunting, mental stunting, means that you probably earn 30% less in your lifetime than if you weren't. That's a big difference. Think of all the money you make over your lifetime and take away 30% of it. That's quite a lot. So it's been a big focus for USAID for the last 7 years that we work primarily in a program called Feed the Future. And its main focus is to really tackle agriculture in 2 ways. One is to help farmers increase their incomes, because incomes do lead to better nutritional outcomes, but it's not the only thing. We find that incomes will affect about 20% of your diet. So if you have a better income, you're able to afford those things. But that's what happens with that other 80%. And the other focus we have is on correcting chronic malnutrition, or malnutrition in general. The world has gotten so much better. Most people in the world have enough calories, which is that wasting acute. And very easier, we'll get into that in a little while. But so we concentrate more on the stunting, that chronic malnutrition, which means that it's just kind of that one that doesn't kill you, but it doesn't give you the greatest potential you could have in your life. So we work on those 2 avenues. How do we tackle poverty, and how do we tackle stunting and those things in the agriculture? Because we think that for most of the third world, at least, that agriculture is the driver of the economy. Now, here oil takes a big precedent, but it really isn't where all the jobs are, where all the normal people work in. Very few people make money off the oil sector. So agriculture is the next big thing. And the Nigerian government wants to make this a big priority, is that we need young farmers coming in. And I'm so happy to see some of the young farmers that are in poultry or fish, because we're going to find out that's a very, very key thing to proper nutrition in agriculture, sensitive agriculture, is how do we get more animal source products into people's diets, especially young children. So that includes things like eggs, milk, fish is an excellent one. Also, a meat on occasional, you don't need it on a daily basis, but occasionally if you have meat in your diet, that helps a lot as well. So we, throughout the world, and there are 19 countries that are focus countries within Feed the Future in this realm. Nigeria happens to be one. So what we look at is we work with farmers to processors and how to get the country moving in the right direction, that they're starting to correct some of these chronic stunting. In Nigeria, it varies quite a bit. In the south, stunting isn't so bad. Maybe in Delta State, it's about 18%. But we have districts in the north that are 45 to 50%. So it varies quite a bit. So, but it really starts at your age, when you're feeding your children, is how we tackle the problem. You know, we address it in many different ways, not only to increase production, but also increase diversification within agriculture. So we have fish farmers, and we have poultry farmers, and we have staple food farmers. We have grain farmers. All of them contribute to this whole thing. But we also want to work with educating people on the proper nutrition that they need to do. You know, what's a diversified diet look like? Most people survive on carbohydrates or the staple. So you may be eating 80% of your diet in cassava or 80% in maize. You really need to supplement it with other things. So, and Ebenezer will talk about a program we call the First 1,000 Days. And I'll give him a chance to do that. So we try to work at all of these things. But you know really what influences, I said, income gets about 20% there. So what's that other 80% look like? Well, when we think of it, nutrition, we think of it in basically three different ways. Is the availability? Is there enough production in the area, within the region? Are there sufficient produce in the market? Then we look at accessibility, where your income comes in. Do I have the means to buy it? And availability too sometimes means that staples may be in the local market, but fruits and vegetables or animal source foods may not be there every day consistently. So we really try to look at local markets and see how we can influence them to sell more of those items to just normal families instead of everything going to the cities. In many ways, we often make the nutritional situation worse, is because you harvest your crop, send it away, and it never comes back in any form. So we have to get out of that habit and looking at what local markets we can help influence and help supply as well. Not only just the cities or the export market, but the local market as well. And then the last one is utilization. What types of foods are important in what quantities and how often? That's where a lot of our nutrition education comes in. So we look at a lot of different things. We look at what local markets look like, how can we influence local markets to supply those types of foods, how do we increase people's income, how do we make agriculture more productive and more economically viable. And then what are we looking at education? How can we educate people, particularly women and young people, on that first 1,000 days, which is the really crucial period. So with that, I think I'm going to let Ebenezer speak a little bit about the two types of malnutrition we have, that we deal with, and some of the things that he was. Just to give you some background on me, I grew up on a dairy farm. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to milk cows. And I milked the last cow at 9 o'clock at night. So, we milk twice a day. So I know what you guys go through. It isn't just a normal office job where you go from 9 to 5. You have to be there 24/7 sometimes. You don't get much vacations. You don't get much breaks. But it's a great lifestyle in many ways. I very much, though I had chores and a lot of work to do when I was young, I really enjoyed it. So after after that, I went into Peace Corps for 2 years and decided I'd go back and study agriculture. And I got my master's, my undergraduate and master's in agronomy. You know what agronomy is?
Yeah.
So my specialty is actually tropical and subtropical legumes for dairy cattle. So I worry about the nutrition of dairy cows, not of humans. I mean, that's what I was trained for, but I've since switched to that. And I've worked probably 20 countries. I've probably been in 64. In USAID, I've been in Iraq, Malawi, Bangladesh, Guatemala, and now Nigeria. So I've sort of gotten a little taste of the world all around. But some of the biggest places where malnutrition is a real problem. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to my colleague here, and he can tell us a little about his background and get into the nutrition stuff a little bit more.